Hey everybody, welcome to homerecordingmadeeasy.com and visionrecordingstudios.com. And if you are watching this video, you have purchased the new product Presonus Studio One Professional, or Presonus Studio One Made Easy. My name is David Vignola with homerecordingmadeeasy.com, and I want to first and foremost thank you for purchasing this product. This product has come about from many folks who have been asking me for I would say a good solid year to make a product, a Made Easy product that was specific to Presonus Studio One, and not only how to use some of the basic functions with Studio One, but more importantly, what we're going to focus a lot on in this series is how to mix and master a song in Studio One only using Studio One plugins. If you know anything about the Made Easy product line that I have available, you'll know that we have Mixing Made Easy Volume 1 and Mixing Made Easy Volume 2, which were all done in Presonus Studio One. Volume 1 was done in version 2.6 and Volume 2 was done in version 3.0, which is what you're looking at before you on the screen here. But that was primarily just a mixing series for each one of those products, and we focused very heavily on third-party plugins, analog vintage style plugins to give some nice analog vintage vibe. And we really didn't walk through a lot of the basic functions on how to use the very basic functions of Studio One, and we really didn't use any Presonus Studio One plugins. And so if you didn't have, or if you don't have a lot of third-party plugins or some of the plugins that I was using in the series, it was difficult for some folks to kind of wrap their head around you know, achieving a great mix when they don't have all the same tools, if that makes sense. So this series is really geared for either A, the absolute beginner who is just getting into recording, has Presonus Studio One, picked it up, whether you have an older version or whether you have version 3, the uses of the program are going to be virtually identical and the plugins are going to be identical. But want to learn how to use the basic functions on when it comes to mixing in Studio One. So how to kind of navigate around the program, but more importantly, how to use the stock plugins, because you're just starting out. You don't have any third-party plugins yet. You may not have the budget available to you in order to purchase third-party plugins, and you're really just new to mixing. So you want to learn the basic functions of mixing, but you want to learn it with stock plugins, and that's what this series is really going to focus on. So this video series is going to be unique to anything else that you've probably seen on the market for a couple different reasons. One, there are lots of companies and videos on YouTube and such on how to use all the basic functions of the program itself. This is going to touch on the most common functions of the program, but this is not an in-depth look on how to use Studio One itself physically, how to do every little nuance of how to use the program. We're going to focus a lot on how to use the program itself as it pertains to mixing and mastering. But for example, we're not going to get into the recording side of things. I'm not going to set up and show you how to arm a track and record a guitar and then record a piano and then record virtual drums. There are a lot of other products on the market that are going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you how to use the program and how to set up a mixing session from scratch, and how to use the basic functions of the program as it pertains to mixing. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's one way this is going to be unique. It's only going to focus on the functions of the program that really pertain to mixing and mastering. And then number two, as I kind of just mentioned a little bit, we're not going to focus on how to record, air quotes here, quote unquote. This is going to really be focused for mixing and mastering. So if you've already recorded music in Studio One and you want to learn how to mix and master your stuff using only the stock tools and some of the shortcuts and some of the functions of the program, that's what this is going to focus on. Or if you're someone who is mixing music for a client or for a friend or a family member and you just want to get the audio into your DAW here and mix and master, that's what this is going to focus on. So this is going to kind of be a hybrid type of a series between a mixing series and also how to use Presonus Studio One from a functionality standpoint series. So we're going to kind of cross the two. So you're going to kind of get the best of both worlds. So that's how this product is going to be set up, and how this series is going to kind of move forward. So who is this product for? You may be saying to yourself, is this product, you know, for me? You know, I have some of your other Made Easy products. Maybe is this something that I should have purchased? Well, if you're watching this video, obviously you've already purchased the product, and I appreciate that. But have no fear, whether you're an absolute beginner or even someone who's more in the intermediate or advanced stages of your mixing career, so to speak. You're always going to find in these training series, whether it's, whether you purchase my products or somebody else's, I found over time that you're always going to find a golden nugget here and there. So even if this is elementary to you because you're more advanced in your mixing career, don't be surprised that you may find a couple of tips here and there of things that you never thought of, or a couple of shortcuts in Presonus Studio One that you may not have been aware of. So even though this is geared towards the absolute beginner, if you're an intermediate or more advanced mixing engineer, you may find this helpful as well. And for the small price of admission for your investment here, I think you're going to find you're going to get a lot of information here and maybe thinking about things in a new way, especially when we get into some of the mixing concepts and mastering concepts and techniques. So hopefully that was helpful. So as part of this package, you should have received the audio wave files for the song that we're going to be working on today. And the song is by a group called Boogie Shakes, and the name of the track is It's My Right. So you should have received those audio wave files, those high resolution wave files that we're going to import into our session here. We're going to create a session from scratch here. You also should have received an EQ, kind of a frequency cheat sheet, I call it, for when we get into EQ. Some of the fundamental frequencies by instrument on what to look out for, and we're going to explain that more as we get into the more mixing section of this series. And you've also should have received, as part of this PDF presentation, you should have also received some basic guidelines and definitions around compression, because EQ and compression are really the two most important things in mixing when it's all said and done. And so I wanted to give you some guidelines. So if you're new to EQ and new to compression, this will be helpful to you. If you want more in-depth training on specifically EQ and or specifically compression, I would urge you, if you haven't done so already, go out to my website, homerecordingmadeeasy.com, and look for the product EQ Made Easy, and then a separate product called Compression Made Easy, where I really go down deep into the inner workings of both of those two things. It's real important when you're mixing music, whether it's for yourself as a hobby, or whether it's a semi-professional level, or certainly at a professional level, that you really have a good handle on EQ and compression. EQ and compression is what will make and break a mix. Not all the other fancy plugins and tape emulators and vintage plugins and all the stuff that we're not even going to talk about in this video. But at the end of the day, what really makes the difference on a nice, clear, professional, well-balanced mix is EQ. Most important, and second in line would be compression. So if you don't have a good handle on those two things, you're going to have a real difficult time getting anything to sound like it sounds professional. Okay, so head out to the website, homerecordingmadeeasy.com. Check out EQ Made Easy and Compression Made Easy if you haven't done so already. So that is kind of my little introduction here on this video series. This will be the introduction video, and this series will be broken up into multiple videos, and at the end of the day, this will probably be a 6 or 7 hour long series. And you'll see all the different sections as you go through. The one thing that I will kind of, if you don't know anything about my product line and the Made Easy product line, the one thing you'll know about me, if you don't already, you'll find out very soon, is I give you a ton of content. I like to talk. Some people will call it rambling, say I talk too much, but a lot of what I'm going to say to you throughout this series, I'm going to repeat certain techniques and concepts and things to think about multiple times. It's not because I like to hear myself talk. It's because I want to drive points home. So this is not, by any stretch of the imagination, going to be a video series that's going to be 30 minutes long, and I'm going to gloss over all these little topics, and you're just going to get a basic overview. My products are unique in a way that they're completely in depth. This is not something that you're going to watch once and that you're going to completely retain everything that I'm talking about. You're going to watch this multiple times over the next upcoming months and maybe years. And I urge you to go back and use this as a reference guide, these video series. All my Made Easy products are like this, and they're designed that way specifically to be able to give you the most education you can possibly find for your dollar, and to really drive points home and to really make you think about things in a different way. Okay, so when you think that I'm rambling on too much, like you probably think I am in this intro video, just remember that it's all done for a reason. Almost all of my Made Easy products, and this is really no different, this one that you're watching here, a lot of this is done unscripted. There's a basic guideline of sections that I follow to make sure I cover certain things, but none of this stuff is rehearsed or scripted. It's right off the top of my head, off the cuff, so to speak. And I try to give a feel to these products as if you were just sitting with me in my studio, at my console, in my control room, and that we were mixing one of your songs. and I was teaching you from scratch, how would I talk to you? And that's what this video series is, and that's how these products are designed. So please keep that in mind, that this will not be something you're going to watch in one sitting. And I don't recommend that you do, even if you have 6 or 7 hours, a full Saturday available to you, to watch this entire thing from beginning to end is okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but you're not going to retain the information as well as if you take this in smaller chunks and smaller bits. Watch a couple of the sections. Go apply the techniques to the to your session, because you're going to receive the audio files. Then come back a couple of days later, watch the next couple of sections, apply the techniques, so on and so forth. And then when you think you're all done, go back and watch it from the beginning, because you're always going to, there's so much information that's going to be in here that you're going to miss things along the way. Okay. So it'll be helpful to go back and rewatch that. So as you're looking at here, and we will get into the next section, this is actually the intro screen when you open up your version of Studio One if you're using version 3, and that's what this is. This is version 3.01, which is the latest version as the recording of this video, which is actually the beginning of July 2015. By the time you purchase this product and watch it, it could be much later in time. They could have different versions or upgraded versions of Studio One. But this is what the intro screen looks like. If you're using an older version, version 2, it looks very, very similar, just a different color scheme. It's starting in the next video here, where it's going to be section 1 will be our session setup. We're going to open up this screen right here when you first open up the program, and we are going to create a session from scratch and import our audio files, and we're going to get to setting up a session, mixing a session from beginning to end, mastering that song. And then at the very end of the series, you will find a video that's going to have some common functions of Studio One, some common tricks, some common techniques and time savers and tips on how to do specific tasks in Studio One. You'll see some of those things happening throughout this series as I'm creating this session from scratch. This is something that the song is not going to be already mixed, and you're going to see how I do it. What I like to do is I like to mix the song in real time. So you're going to see me set up the session. You're going to see me mix it from start to finish. And in that process, you're going to see some of the shortcuts and some of the time savers, and I'm going to point those out. But at the end, the very last video of this series will be kind of a FAQ kind of a video on how do you do this specific task? How do you do that specific task? What are the most common things that I do to help me save time and be more efficient in Studio One, whether it's creating a session template, which we will do in that video, to maybe quantizing drums, to maybe using you know, some specific tools in Studio One to help you be more efficient. Okay, so look for that video as well. So again, thank you so much for purchasing this product. I really appreciate it. I really know you're going to dig it, and I really think you're going to get a lot out of it. And again, if you want more information about the rest of the Made Easy series products, go out to homerecordingmadeeasy.com. And if you want to check out my other website, you can check out visionrecordingstudios.com, and you can learn all about my mixing and mastering services and training and so on and so forth. So stay tuned for the next video, which will be section 1, and we will move through this series. And one last point, make sure that you're listening to this video series either on a good set of studio monitors or headphones. If you're listening to this on cheap earbuds or really crappy laptop speakers or computer speakers, excuse me, you're not going to get the most out of this. So try to do this in your own studio. Use a decent set of studio monitors or headphones to get the most out of this from an audio perspective. Okay, so we will see you in section 1, session setup. And again, thank you so much, and we will be right back.